everybody. It's Men Cry in the Car podcast, and it's episode 14. Can you believe it's been 14? Y'all don't worry about my throat. I'm going to be clearing my throat and drinking water this whole time, so don't worry about that. Stay focused on the episode, okay? Episode 14, we need you to like, share, subscribe. Welcome back to Men Cry in the Car podcast. I have a really special guest on today. Y'all know I call my guest special, but he's special in another way. He married one of my very good friends, and he treats her well, and I just love him for that. But I do have on Carlos Harper, Master Sergeant. He's retired, but he still has all that wisdom. He still has all that knowledge, and he decided to come and be with us today. So buckle up, get ready. We're going to be talking about some things that may step on your toes, but that's what we do. And so I'm going to be bringing on Carlos right now. Everybody welcome Carlos Harper to the stage. Bam. There he is.
Hey.
Hey, Carlos.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. So what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good. Just just in deep thought and prayer for these Hurricane Helena victims, and that's where me and Carmen are from. We're from the Asheville area, so still got family and friends back there, and we just just doing a lot of praying and a lot of sending out assistance and dropping off supplies up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So who's still there with your family? I want to just touch on that for a second. Who's still there?
I have several aunts and uncles still there.
Mm-hmm.
Plethora of cousins. Our youngest son was there. I went and got him last week because they didn't have any lights in water. For going on to now. I just got lights like day before yesterday, but still no water. It's going to be a while for the water. So, and of course, schools are closed. So I brought him down here to Fayetteville with me and Carmen. So
okay, that's good. I'm glad. So I know we want to touch on that. We want to talk about like the state of the world and how it affects men, specifically right now, Black men, because you are a Black man, but just men, period. But before we do that, I want to just ask you this question. When you heard the episode podcast called Men Cry in the Car, what came to mind for you?
The first thing came to mind, just based off the title, was vulnerability, or not. I thought, I said, what, I cry. I thought that men just cry silently to themselves. They keep everything bundled in. Which I used to do. Used to keep it all suppressed, and kind of cry to myself, and not letting anybody know your true emotions or your true feelings. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and where do you think that comes from? Because you're not the only man that's ever said that to me. Most men say, no, it's just better that I keep my feelings to myself or just cry alone. Where do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from mostly from my upbringing. I mean, even I was told, well, not necessarily told, but I was raised by my grandparents mostly, and my mom was in the house too, but but my grandparents pretty much raised me, and I never seen my grandfather cry, never. I've never seen him cry.
Wow.
I mean, hard times, good times, never ever seen him cry, and it almost put the thing in me, like, strong men don't cry.
Yeah.
We just, and that's still taught in some households. That's still preached to young Black men or Black men, period. We don't cry, man. We just find a way. We ain't got nothing. What you crying about? And nothing to cry about. But no,
right. Suck it up.
Yeah.
Suck it up, buttercup. And how detrimental, and I'm just using that word, you didn't say it, but how detrimental is that for a child seeing, or a teenager or whatever, seeing the parental person not show emotion like that, not cry? Like, because if he's taking care of the family, which I know he was, and you didn't see him cry, what was going on in your head? Like, how how should I ask this? What's going on in your head, and how did that affect you? Like your grandfather's taking care of you, but he's not showing any emotion. He's not crying.
Yeah, I mean, it at the time, I thought what we just said. I thought this is just a real strong man. He just,
Mhm.
he nothing bother him. Nothing gets to him.
Mhm.
Um, and I just thought he was a strong man because he didn't cry. And but that turned out to be not true.
Yeah, for sure. He
But
was
yeah,
crying in the car.
I think that that affected me a little bit, and also even like I said, with my mother being in the home,
Mhm.
she we never she never like kissed me, or I know she loved me, but there was no kissing or hugging. We wasn't a
Mhm.
big hugging family, and being married to Carmen, her family is all huggers and kissers.
Yes, exactly.
That's what they do, and
Yeah.
I'm warming up to that, but that definitely affected me because I've been
Mhm.
told in a couple of my relationships now that I'm not affectionate,
Mm.
and
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't show no affection. And I know where that comes from, and it's a daily process every day. Even now in my marriage now, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad you're being honest about that because most men won't even admit that. It's like that's the upbringing, but it affects your marriages, it affects your relationships, but they're not honest enough to say, that's not why. They may just say, well, that's not my love language. I don't show intimacy. I don't show affection. I don't show physical touch because they won't say it's because it wasn't shown in my home or it wasn't that's not my experience to see that. So I didn't grow up with that and I don't do that in my family. I'm glad you married her because that lets you that gives you another opportunity to see the other end of the spectrum, because if you grew up in a household where everything was like everybody was so stoic and maybe I don't show loves and hugs and crying and all that, and so you grew up being like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to be in every situation. But knowing that affection is okay, emotions are okay, it's all right to not have it all together, it's all right to not feel like you have to protect and provide all the time, though you are a man, and that's usually what we teach the men to do. But you can still do this as well. Like you can let me know it's a bad day. You can let me know that things happen. So how's that experience been?
That's I think that's going pretty good for us. Like I said, coming from that, growing up, not seeing my grandparents show affection, my mom not
Mhm.
showing it to me, or my sister, and then I joined the military. So that's straight, just just straight,
And
just
then we're gonna talk about that.
then, then that's just straight, you got, definitely no time for
Yeah.
weakness to be shown there. But and being in Carmen's family and being with Carmen, that has really, just been around their family really helped me, do that, and I'm so thankful for that, and
Mhm.
it allows me to help her too when she shows her emotion, because at
Yeah.
first I was kind of like thrown off by it, like, oh,
Mhm.
she
Mhm. You're like,
break
what is
down
this?
crying. Yeah, she break
Mhm.
down crying in front of me like with a problem. I'm like, oh, but now it's we're just compatible. It's just I mean I believe she told me the other day I had the words to get her through some stuff, and
Yeah.
we just, it's a whole lot better. But it
Yeah.
was a process.
Mhm. And so that being a process, how were you with your own children? Did you show emotion around your sons?
I I did, I did, I did, and the reason why I did that, and I tell people this all the time, I say, my father wasn't in the picture. He was hit and miss. He was there, but most time in jail and prison. And
Mhm.
he'll come around every now and then, but nothing too solid.
Mhm.
And it was always broken promises. Broken. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But it never followed through. So I remember. I tell a story all the time. I was my daddy got sick. it's kind of crazy because I was stationed at Fort Stewart, Georgia,
Okay.
in Georgia, and then I got orders to go on recruiting duty. I'm like, I don't want to do no recruiting duty, so I fought it and fought it. I even deployed to Kuwait just to get out of it. And no sooner I came back from Kuwait, they sent me another thing. Said, hey, you're going on recruiting duty. I was like, what? So in the Army, the top 20% of your branch or your job get selected for one or two duties. You either get selected for drill sergeant or recruiting duty. You're gonna have to do it if you're in that top 10% of and they want you out there representing the military. So I said, I'm not gonna fight it. I'm go ahead and go. Well, it's ironic because I got stationed in Asheville as a recruiter. And they told me that. I was like, no, not gonna go back to Asheville. Oh no. I want to go. No, I joined the military. I joined the army to leave to get out of there. But thank God that I was, had been in a couple of years. I had got some discipline. I had, and I was able to handle. I was married to my first wife at the time, and which is my oldest two kids' mom.
Yep.
And so and it's with my kids and my dad had got sick during this time frame, and he got sick, and so we kind of bonded a little bit throughout maybe that last year or something like that. I would take him to a doctor's appointment, take him to the grocery store, while I was there, whatever. Okay. And I remember him asking me, basically, he was so sick one day. He asked me, he said, "You're probably upset with me, and you're probably, and I said, why would I be upset with you?" He said, because I wasn't in your life, but I was in your brother's life. My brother Roderick, who was here in Fayetteville too, we're like a 12-year difference, 12-year an age gap. But he said, but I was in your brother's life. And I said, no, I said, I'm not upset with you. I said, you taught me the best lesson in life. And he asked me, he said, well, what's that? I said, I always said growing up, if I had kids, I didn't want to be like you. And he looked at me a little bit, and he understood, I can tell it kind of hurt, but at that point I was just being honest,
Yeah.
And that's really the best lesson I had. It's going to my father was my dad. Like, what, I'm not gonna be like him, I'm not gonna be like that, So when my kids, I love them to this day. I tell them I love them. I always, I pray with them. I hug them. I do all that.
They need to see that. They do.
So they know that I love them. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you showed that because they need to see a man, especially their father, showing all the emotions, not just anger, because we are seen as angry Black women, angry people, and we already know we can be angry, but they need to see the joy, the happiness. They need to see you being upset, the disappointed, sad, all that. They need to see that. They need to see you loving on them, kissing on them, like all of that, because you don't want them to grow up. Because this happens to boys too. You don't want them to grow up and then meet a woman that's so aggressive or being manipulated by women or other people just because they didn't get that nurturing, loving, compassionate, whatever they needed from their parental parent or guardian. You don't want that. So that's good that you actually doing that.
That's right. And you're absolutely right. And I do it also for reasons we talked about earlier, because I didn't get that, and I know now that that's important. So I do show that to them, and they receive it, and they reciprocate. So it's beautiful. I mean, I love our relationship.
Yeah. What are the ages of your boys?
I can't remember. 27, 24, and want to be 17 next month.
Okay, 27 and 24. Okay, I'm gonna talk about them real quick. Okay. So does a 27 and 24-year-old show emotion? Are they open and transparent? Are they vulnerable with their emotions?
They show emotion. They show their emotion. They share it. They share with me. We cry together. We smile together. We laugh together about situations in their lives. In my life. But yeah, they're They're
I'm
pretty
glad.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about your teenager? How
Now
does
my,
he
now
show
my
emotion?
teenagers, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Mm,
But
exactly.
he does show emotion,
Mhm.
through turmoil and stuff like that.
It's good.
It's just it's kind of hard to get him to he's here. I hope he's listening, but it's
Right.
just right. It's just kind of hard to get him to just to open up with just a long conversation. Everything with him is short. Like, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
okay. Uh-huh.
Mhm. Mm.
So I got to dig deep with him. I got, well, what you mean? Like what does that mean? It's just
What
going
does
on.
it mean?
What's
Mhm.
okay? What did so I got to really to go a little bit farther with him. And which is fine. Because I'm gonna keep doing it. like I
Look,
told him, like, you might well just go ahead and tell me because I'm gonna keep asking.
look.
This little short one word answers ain't gonna work.
I'm gonna keep prying to see what's going on with you
Right.
because we want them to know that they're safe with us. You
Yep.
know, we definitely want to know that. But I want us to talk about the state. I'm trying to remember like what we mentioned. The state of this world, what's happening, or the state of this country. Let me say that the state of this country, where it is, and what's happening, and how it affects men. Like I said, specifically black men. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, it's affecting black men more than you would know. You know, like I said, I got my own business. I do Harper's Marksmanship Incorporated. Which I teach. I teach marksmanship training. On several platforms: rifle, pistol, shotgun. I teach
Hmm.
concealed carry classes. I teach home defense training, women and weapons, children gun safety. And the biggest thing I see that's picked up over this year or two is home defense. Excuse me, home defense. People worrying about how to protect their home, how to protect their family. There's a lot of things going on, and we're not gonna get. I don't, like I said, we're not gonna talk about politics, but political. You get to the political realm, and people, it's like the country is divided. And we already know about the racism and all that stuff that's going on, but it affects us more, because that puts even I use myself for example. Like I said, I
Hmm.
got 3 boys out there,
Hmm.
and I always try to tell them, hey, look, y'all need to stay ready, stay prepared. What's going on? It's a lot of stuff going on. And a lot of people look to me and my family also because I was the military guy.
Hmm. Yeah.
They want to
Yeah.
know, well, what you doing? What you doing
Hmm.
in this time of turmoil? I
Yeah.
said, I'm just sitting back, kicking back, watching everything, see what's going on. And I don't, I watch the news every now and then, but not too much. But I get most information from other people, from other
Hmm.
black men.
Hmm.
We talk, and I talk to my kids. So it's a lot that it can be very, very stressful trying to, how am I going to take care of my family if this happens? If the incident
Hmm.
Western North Carolina, if that happens, what do I do? 'Cause now they're starting to loot up there. They're looting and they're attacking each other for food. I mean, it's bad. So
Because now it's survival.
right,
Yeah.
it's all about survival. And we get all these warnings about like they were just the highest FBI threat warning was issued over the weekend because it's
Hmm.
the 1 year anniversary of the Hamas attack. So now they're talking about. So FBI is talking about the highest threat level we've been in history. So they're
Hmm.
talking about correlating attacks on churches. So there's been chatter in the FBI, and so when they get chatter like that, something's going on in the terrorist cell. So here in the United States, so they're talking about attacking multiple churches on this anniversary.
That's
So
crazy.
you get that. I get calls from, hey man, look, I do church security. I set church security teams also.
Hmm.
They're like, hey, I said, hey, just remember your training, do what you do. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
very stressful because and with the election, people are like, what's going to happen if this guy wins? What's going to happen if this delegate?
Yeah.
What's going to happen if this guy? You know, so it can be a lot of pressure, and
Hmm.
all my thoughts are going to my kids. You got
Hmm.
to stay with me and Carmen in this high school. We're good.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're gonna be good. I don't care who the president is. I don't care what happens. we're gonna be good because, and I'm not,
Yeah.
because this is a faith-based house.
Hmm.
We're covered by the blood of Jesus. We don't,
That's right.
but we also take steps to cover ourselves for ourselves.
Mhm.
To protect ourselves, should I say?
Right.
But we rely on Jesus, to for everything else. But I worry
Absolutely.
I worry about my kids and their future, if that makes sense.
All of that makes sense. Everything that you said makes sense because I think about you kept saying like stressful. It is, and I said this word before, it is really wreaking havoc and is detrimental to young black boys, young men, and just black men in general. Now I know I'll have different races to come on the show, and they'll have their perspective too. But when I think about how black men are perceived and how black men have to be a certain way and all this, and then with everything else going on in the country, it's like you have to be this person at work, this person in the military, this person at home, this person, like what does that do for one's psyche? Like I can just see that being so overwhelming.
And
What does that do?
and it is overwhelming. It really is overwhelming. Like you said, and I should tell I still tell him. I tell my older son when he first went to college, and I said, hey, you're gonna have to do more. You're gonna have to do more than the next person. I said, it's just a fact. It's just the country we in. There's nothing you can do about it. You're black. You're a black man in this country. You're gonna have to do. You got to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard to get on the level playing field. And I said, if you sit back and like, well, they didn't give me this because I'm black. Nobody want to hear that. It may be true,
Yeah.
but don't nobody want to hear it, and ain't
Mm-mm.
nobody gonna listen to it. So what you
So
gotta do is
I want to
outsmart.
interrupt you. I want to interrupt you just for a second, and this is why. Because of that, nobody wants to hear it. It may be true, but nobody wants to hear it. What do you think happens? Because I'm pretty sure you were probably told that when you were growing up too. What do you think then happens at that moment when a child, young adult, young boy, and they're told nobody wants to hear that, and they know that it's true. But what do you think is done to them now that nobody wants to hear how I feel? Nobody wants to understand my experience. Nobody wants to support me. Like, how do you think that affects them?
A lot. I mean, it affects them a lot because I was told the same thing.
Exactly.
And when I went to the military, my grandfather was in the army. My stepdad was 32 years in the army. So they told me
Okay.
this thing. They're like, look, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work smarter and harder. And then the next man, if you want to get rank, if you want to be successful in that,
Right.
I took it. I took it, but it can be somewhat humbling. It can be, but that's why I talk to my sons. I say, look, I just give it to them the real world. Especially now at their age now. You know, if they were a little bit younger, we probably wouldn't even be having that conversation about.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? But he was about to go to college, and I said, I know sugarcoat nothing. You know what I'm saying? Look, you're gonna have to be on your P's and Q's because, like I said, nobody wants to hear. Well, um, uh, this corporation that didn't hire me because I was black, which may be true, or this they didn't promote me because I was black, which may be true. But look, they're not gonna listen to that. Only thing you gotta do is understand where you at, what country you living in, what state you living in, the temperature of that state or that
Hmm.
country, and you're gonna have to learn how to beat them at their game.
Hmm. So, how would you advise a young black boy growing up? You probably do this for your son and your sons when they were growing up. How would you advise that young black male to live in this type of state and live in this type of country when odds are already against him? He's already got to be better. He's going to be overlooked because of the color of his skin or just him being a black man. Um, Knowing you still want to nurture and knowing you still want to support the emotional state or the thoughts and the feelings, because you don't want to shut that down. Like,
Mhm.
how would you advise that young man?
The first thing I would say is to surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with positive people. Some people that's going in the direction that you want to go in. Surround yourself with positive people. Because the more negativity around you, the more negative you're gonna be, and that includes, um, even with my youngest son. I'll say this: I talked to him about the YouTube, the social media, a lot of that stuff is negative. They put false senses in you, like, oh, I can be a YouTuber and make this much money. That's a select few. Everybody not doing that. So you still got to prepare yourself to go out here and be successful in this life. So the first thing I would say, surround yourself with positive people. Somebody that wants something in life that you want. It's going in a direction you can go. So y'all can have those conversations peer to peer, and not just always hearing it from a father figure or adult figure. So that helps a lot when you surround yourself with positive people. And because negativity, we all know, just breeds negativity. If you got one bad person that talk, oh man, you ain't got to do it. Because I had this before. You know, somebody was telling my younger son, you ain't got to go to college. You ain't got to do all that.
Yeah.
These people on YouTube making all kind of money.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you have to go to college. But I'm
Right.
saying, if it's there and the opportunity is there, and why not take advantage of it and do it, um, because you're gonna have to use every angle to progress yourself as being a black man. You got to use every angle. You got to use everything. When I was in the military, soon as I got in there, they say we need to volunteer. I got it. I go to that school. Somebody say, well, I ain't going to that school. I go. I was going to everything, and I made sergeant in 2 years, which was like record time.
Mm.
And then this was during peacetime. So,
Wow.
and I just knew I had to just do things to make myself better, you know, to make
Hmm.
myself kind of excel over the next man, because I
Yeah.
already knew, even with the military being, heavily proportional, the army rather, listed black folks, you're still gonna get that, uh, uh, you know, let's go with this other guy. So I already knew, I knew it, I've been stepped on over a couple of times, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't because of my production or my performance.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that. So and the thing I want to stress is you got to get mentally, like, mentally in your head that it's not it's I don't take it personal,
Okay.
and it's hard not to do that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard not to do. And I wouldn't be able to do it at my 17-year-old's age. I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's been a lot of training, a lot of training myself, a lot of praying, a lot of just understanding. And that's why I try to still into them now. You can't take it personal
Yeah.
because it's not your fault that you're a black man in this country.
Yeah.
It's not your
Yeah.
fault. So don't take it personal. That's if anybody got an issue with you because of that, that's on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's their problem.
Mm-hmm.
What you can't do, like I said before, you can't sit back and be like, oh, shoot, I ain't a man. I guess I just set up for this little 850-hour job. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what we do. You
No,
go,
that's not what we do.
you're gonna have to work. Like I told you at the get go. You're gonna have to be smarter, faster, stronger, and work harder than the next man. You already know that coming out the gate. So, and when you get it, you got to work that just harder just to maintain it. And yeah, like I said, the first thing I would just do is just surround myself with positive people. Positive people, somebody that wants to go somewhere and do something in life. That doesn't have to be the same job or same career, whatever. Just somebody wants to be positive in life, just positive outlooks on things. Not so much, because we already got enough negativity out here. We got enough negativity
Enough.
in this world.
Enough. Enough. So let me ask you this question, Carlos. When I say the word therapy, what comes to mind?
Now, now,
Okay, well, you said now. What did you think about it before?
uh, nah, therapy. Nobody need no therapy.
Hmm.
I
Good.
need no therapy. What the
I don't need no
therapy?
therapy. I'm good.
I'm
Uh-huh.
good. I'm
Uh-huh.
good. Exactly. You're
Hmm.
absolutely right. That was
Hmm.
my back in my, hardcore military days, and I used to see people, and I'm taking back to the military. I see people in the army, like, going to counseling, I'm like, man, what's wrong with him? You know, I used to view it as being weak.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really did, but now, huh, I'm in therapy 3 times a month.
Good.
Because
Bravo.
one of those reasons is I suffer from PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a traumatic brain injury from
Mm-hmm.
several different concussions from
Mm-hmm.
being blown up in the war, you know, and not just that, and not just military. I mean, it's just life in general, you know. Me and my therapist talk about stuff outside the military, outside of
Right.
we talk about family issues, family life, but I. If I would, if I say this, I say if I would have known this when I was 20,
Hmm. Hmm.
I might have jumped in that end.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
yeah,
Because so many people, when I mention therapy, especially in the Black culture or community, I mean, we're starting to go now.
mhm.
But in the beginning, it was just like you said, what? It's nothing wrong with me. I'm not crazy. That's for crazy people. We don't do that. All we do is pray to Jesus. We're gonna talk about that too.
Mhm.
Um, all we gotta do is pray to Jesus and he'll take care of everything. And he will. However, as you can see, there's nothing wrong with therapy. How helpful has therapy been for you?
Very, very helpful. And I say that because I never would have known certain triggers, you know, and I never would have known anything about that,
Mhm.
um, which is phew, whew, good for me, I've just it just gave me somebody else um, that understood what I was going through,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just let me, say it in my own words. Sometimes I would say it and be kind of confused with myself, and then they'll bring it back and say, "Okay, this is what you're trying to say." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. That's
that's
it.
it. That's right.
That's it." And that was a relief because talking outside of your therapist, you know, they don't people don't know what you're going through, and you're trying to explain it, especially with the PTSD.
Right. Right.
Me and Carmen used to have this thing, and she'd be like, "Well, just," I say, "Carmen, I can't explain it," you
Because
know,
you can't.
because I had it while I was still
Hmm.
in the military. I had it
Hmm.
in Afghanistan when I was in my
Hmm.
last combat situation. I
Hmm.
just didn't. I suppressed it. I suppressed it because that's what they want you to do:
Right.
suppress, and move on. It didn't hit me. It didn't really hit me until I retired and sat on the couch.
Yeah. On the couch.
On
Yes.
the couch, on the couch. So I was just sitting there, and I was like, "Something ain't right." I could feel it, and then here come the thoughts, the flashbacks.
Yep.
Me thinking I'm in combat when I'm sitting here on my couch. Me thinking I'm
Yep.
in. I'll go outside, think I'm in a different zone. You know what I'm saying? Just like little sounds. I'm like, man, I need to go get some help.
Hmm.
Then the nightmares just got too much.
Hmm.
The nightmares, and I was like, ugh, and I even um went to the part of suicide. I had thoughts of
Yeah.
suicide. I'm not ashamed to tell
Yeah.
that story.
I know
I'm,
that's right.
I'm not ashamed to tell that story at all. I'm a big advocate for suicide awareness programs, and I did. I had those thoughts. I had to
Yep.
get my car and drive myself to an outside VA, not one in Asheville. I was in Asheville at the
Hmm.
time, so I didn't want
Hmm.
to go to the VA in Asheville. I knew I had family members and friends that were trying to, hey, and that would affect my mind state. Like, oh yeah,
That's right.
I don't want my kids to see me like this. I need. I'm all right. I'm gonna check myself out.
That's right.
No, so I drove myself to outside VA, out of state VA.
Mm-hmm.
Said, look, I need some help. You need to keep me here because I'm about, my mind
Right.
ain't,
That's
my mind,
right.
right, you know, and the whole time I'm driving there, I'm just crying, I'm crying like, just get me here safe, get me here,
Mm-hmm.
praying like, just get me to this facility. I know I get to
Yeah.
the facility, they got some stuff for me, I just don't know, and they took me in. I was in an inpatient program,
Mm-hmm.
and we that's where it started right there. I was like, phew. So yeah, I mean, it's when you're dealing with this kind of hard to explain, but
Yeah.
through that therapy, I think everything can be explained.
I think so too. But like Kevin Hart would say, you ain't gonna just say that and like run past it like you didn't say that. First of all, thank you for being transparent with that. Because there's a lot of people that have attempted suicide, thought about suicide, all the things. I myself wanted to commit suicide when I was 6 years old. Just with all the stuff that was going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell that story too, not to be ashamed because I know I'm not the only one. But when you say that, you drove yourself to a facility because you knew you needed help. You just said, now something ain't right. I got to go and I got to do this. I'm having thoughts of hurting myself, whatever. That is so, to me, that's powerful. A lot of people would be like, oh, that's weak. You ain't got to say that, da, 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 which goes back to the therapy thing, which goes back to stop crying. What you crying for? All when I see a man cry, it breaks my heart. It does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. But then I'm no longer sad because I'm like I'm so glad he's crying. I'm so glad he's getting that out because all the men around me are strong.
Mm.
And when I see y'all cry or when I see them cry, I'm thinking that's the most powerful thing you could ever do because
Yeah,
you allowing your emotions to be what they are and you allowing like whomever is seeing you cry, like you feel comfortable enough to say, I feel safe here. I'm just gonna do this and it don't matter.
that's right. That's right.
So I thank you for sharing that story because like I said, so many people want to be like feel shame or be ashamed because it's like what I've been through it. I don't want people to know this and I don't want people to know that, which goes back to what I was saying before. I'm just gonna take it to Jesus because you know how black folks are, because I'm about Jesus and therapy. I do both.
Me too.
But but some people be like, pray to the Lord. And I'm just like, okay, what would you say to those people that only want to just pray?
It's a start. It's, I mean, it's definitely something you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something you should be doing. But I also will say, hey, there's 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 something about the physical. There's something about we all be spiritual. We all pray. We all believe. We want to believe that Jesus, like I said, and He will. He'll help us
And
out.
he
But there's
will.
something about that physical talk or that physical emotion that you go back and forth with someone that
Mm-hmm.
that's trained to help you or that's educated to help you and know what you're going through because you get that and I'm a big thing. I would say it's in God's timing, it's in Jesus' timing. Well, some things I might not can't wait on, you know. And I'm not saying that to disrespect Jesus or disrespect God.
Correct.
You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? Because I believe my God can do all things. I know He can
Correct.
because He got me out of several things. Helped me through several things. But some like I said, to drive myself to that facility at some point, if I feel like if I would sit back and say, no, Jesus got this, I don't tell him what I would have done, hurt myself or
Mm-hmm.
somebody, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And
Mm-hmm.
and and that's not Jesus' fault. That's not putting up, saying why you didn't help me right then. It's just me as a
Right.
man recognizing I know I need some help right now, some
There
physical
you
help,
go.
somebody to talk to right now in this moment. Help me, on top of my prayers. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That and you said that so well. You put that so well because that's the thing. It's not to say God is not going to help us, that Jesus don't come through because like you said, Jesus has come through in my life many, 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 many times. And I know he's still going to come through on some other things too. And because I'm all about the and. And I know there are specialists out there. There are people with expertise out there. There are providers that can help along with therapy. It's just like any dentist. A dentist has a dentist. A surgeon has a surgeon. An OBG has an OBG. Like if those people have those people, like it is okay to go to a therapist for a person that specializes in the brain, the mind, the soul. Like it's okay.
Yep.
It is definitely okay.
Definitely okay.
You know, you can have both. Like that is the only way this household, this Meyer household runs.
Yeah,
Like that is the only way it runs.
and that's good, you know. And you know, and my oldest son said something to me one time. He was like, you know, you know, he calls for the most advice. You know, you know, hey, he always say, you know, I call you pops because I know you either been through it, or you know,
Yeah,
you know somebody went through. He's like, you know, he said, but I just need some advice and this, you know. And
that's right.
so, and I love it because he reaches out. You know what I'm saying? He's not
Hmm.
afraid to reach out, not afraid to say what type of problems he has. You know, I need help with this. Because a lot of us are scared to say they need help. That pride thing gets in the way.
It
You know,
does.
you can't look. Don't you can't be too prideful.
Mm-mm. You don't
You know,
want that.
you
You
don't
don't
want
want
that.
that. Mm-mm.
That's a hindrance. That's a hindrance in your life.
We all need help. Don't
Yeah,
we all need help?
and you talk about the crying part. You know, the crying is a release for me.
It is.
It's a release for me. You know, I feel better after I do it. You know, 'cause, you know it does really release. It does really get some of that stuff off your chest and off your mind. When you
Hmm.
can go back to okay, now I can focus.
Hmm.
If you just bottle it all in, you know, the emotions
Hmm.
all in, you just get uptight. You get angry. You know, you want to go out here and roll raise people. I'm like,
You
you know,
do.
I don't have none of that.
Hmm. That's
You know,
good.
but when I'm the person that people think, oh, PTSD, or this guy gonna be he be showing out, he be roll. You know, I'm the person that they look at like, well, this guy he should be the angry one. You know, he should be he should be the one
Yeah.
that's snapping. You know, this and that.
Yeah.
No, Carmen say all the time. She's like, you just so laid back. You don't too much
That's because
stuff
you're done your healing.
don't stuff too much bother you. I say because I'm not. It, it I say it don't really bother me, but I know ways through therapy how to cope and how to deal with
Yeah.
it.
And yeah, it's because you are doing your healing, Carlos. It's all about that. It's when I tell my clients and I tell myself, it's when you don't want to do the work or when you notice there is an issue and you have acknowledged it, identified it, and you do nothing about it. You've done all those things. You say, okay, this is the problem, this is what's going on, I'm going to get help. It's because you are doing your work. You can see that. You notice all of that. You can be laid back because you know how you were before. You know your thoughts, like what did you want to do before? And you're not that person. Like at any time, okay, now I'm gonna take it off you and put it on me. At any time, if I choose to get in my flesh, I could willingly go there with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Willingly. But then I had to say, all right, well, don't do nothing stupid because this and that. But again, when you do your work, you can see, you can identify those things. You can understand like that's a trigger. This is what's going on. This is what I need to do instead. So when they look at you, they're like, oh, you should be going off, but you're not because you have Jesus and you have therapy.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. And I want to say this too about uh about us black men. You
Hmm.
know, it took me a while to learn this. You know, we worry about so much stuff that's out of our control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, we worried about what the next person done or what the next person did. You know, it'll simplify your life if you
Hmm.
just kind of worry about the things that you can control.
Yeah.
Worry about your actions, how you react to something, or how you're gonna act to something. You know, instead of putting a lot of focus on what somebody else's actions are.
That's good.
You know, I don't worry about too much stuff if it's out of my control.
Hmm.
You know, I might make a plan. I say, well, this is what we're gonna do, but I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it. That makes
That's
sense.
real good. Yeah. Because to me, fear makes you want to control things.
Mhm.
And when you don't have that, you're like, whatever. Like when you can be like, as they say, laid back. When you can be laid back, you're like, I ain't got to control nothing, but me. Because then that's the thing that's smart. We can only control us, our actions, our thoughts, only us, not the outside world, not anything that's going on, only on the inside. Now, when we can get that, like, man, I'm telling you, like relationships will be better,
Yeah, yeah.
at work, at home, like everywhere. Like, stop trying to control these people. Like, really, like we just need to stop doing it. I would say this, Carlos. Like, what is the thing that you would say for the men? And this is the question I do ask of all of my guests that come on. What is the thing that you would say to the man that's watching live or going to watch on a replay? What would you say to him to get him out of that the proverbial car? Like, what would you say to help him?
Mm. First thing I would say is um, strengthen your faith. Strengthen your faith.
Mm-hmm.
We, we can say, we pray out, we pray hard, we pray. But if you don't have faith in that prayer, it's probably going on deaf ears. So the main thing I would say is strengthen your faith, because everything we talked about here today is always centered around my faith and my belief in what God and Jesus is doing in me and through me. So I would say not just pray, but strengthen your faith, which means that, that you got to really believe that it's going to happen, or the
Mm-hmm.
things that you're looking for is going to happen, or So that would be my main thing, And I know some people might watch this that's not religious, that some people might watch this, don't believe in Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and that's once again that's out of my control. That's on them. They got to find a way to deal with that,
That's right.
But that would be my main thing is to strengthen your faith. Like you said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, the faith without works is there. You still got to put in the work.
You do.
You still got to put in the work. But if you strengthen your faith and believe, believe that that Jesus is going to help you, and which He will, and also believe in the work that you're doing. It's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail. I mean, I'm still failing at some things, but I'm not trying. It's
Mm-hmm.
not I'm not trying.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
right.
rather try and fail than not to try at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that would be my biggest thing, Miss Myers, just to you know strengthen your faith around everything.
Okay. Mm-hmm. For sure. Now, is there anything you feel like you wanted to say before we leave, or before I ask you my last question?
Um,
Anything that's like a burning desire, you're like, you know what, I needed to say that. You didn't even ask me that, but I need to say this.
um, no, not I will say, we hear a lot of people saying, oh, they trying to change me, he trying to change the way I don't want nobody try to change me, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I hate to say it, but for a lot of people that I run across and talk to that says that, they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
You got to get to know yourself first. Know your limitations. Know what you're capable of doing, what you're capable of not doing, what you will do, what you won't do. You have to know that about yourself first. Before you. I mean, your principles, your values. That you were. Because I was raised on several values. Like I said, I didn't have the affection. I didn't have the. But I was raised with several good values. My grandfather taught me how to take care of a family. Your family
Mm-hmm.
comes first. This is what you need to do. As far as providing and looking out for them.
Yeah.
So that always been a big value of mine. And I stay the course with that. I always say, I tell my boys, look, you're gonna have to get out here and do something, because you're gonna be the provider. You're the person that everybody's looking to.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit back and wait. you're gonna have to
Mhm.
go get it.
Mhm.
As they say, go
Mhm.
get it.
Go get it and take care of your emotions.
Take care of
While
your
you
more
going.
different emotions. And my middle son, I'm glad you said that. My 24-year-old,
Mhm.
I had to calm him down sometimes. I said, man, your emotions gonna get you fired. You know, they just want to go first thing. Now he said this to me. I'm okay. If they said that, if your boss said that to you,
Mhm.
okay, take it with a grain of salt. Like
Yeah.
I said, go in the car and scream about it. Go in the car
Yeah.
and do what you're gonna do. But you
Mhm.
cannot. That's your supervisor. You cannot
Mhm.
go back at your supervisor because you think you were in the right and he think you in the wrong. All they'll do is get you fired. Then
Yeah.
what? Then you got to
Then what?
control it at that point. Then come and call me, call a friend, say talk it out with him, cuss it out with me. You know.
There you go. There you
You know.
go.
But you cannot go back at him. Same thing with dealing with the police out here.
Mhm.
You know, I
Mhm.
tell all black men, you get pulled over. Now's not the time to state who's wrong or right because you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong legally, but you
In
start
their eyes, you're
arguing.
wrong.
You start.
Mhm.
I tell my kids, your goal is to make it home safe.
Make it home.
You
That's
make
it.
it home safe, and then we'll discuss what happened. And we feel like we got a case, then we'll go from there. But it, on the side of the road in the middle of the night, middle of the day, it's not time for you to be politicking, talking about, I ain't do nothing wrong. That's not gonna get you nowhere, but
No.
beat up, put in jail, you know what I'm saying? Something worse. So
Yeah.
don't, black men, do not do that. If you're getting put over by the police, it's not no time to argue and put up a fight, saying, no, I know my rights. I know, yeah, we all, like I said, we all got rights. But do we get treated fairly by
We
the
don't.
rights? We don't. That's just the way it is. So we got to accept that and find ways to get ourselves through it
Mhm. Yeah.
because it's not going nowhere. You see,
Mhm.
it's not going nowhere. It's
Mhm.
not changing. So you
Yeah.
got to find a way to deal with it and deal within it.
Yeah. For sure. So, Carlos, I don't want you to leave without telling the people how they can find you because I know you have your business and you teach gun safety and how to use all that. And like, do you do any of it virtually or is it all in person?
It's pretty much it's all hands
Okay.
on pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it don't matter. There's people in North Carolina or
Now
people that's willing to travel. So tell us about the business.
I travel too now.
Okay, so then let us know. You travel and they can travel. So let us know.
I travel too. Well, the business name is Harper's Marksmanship Incorporated. You can find me on Facebook at the same page, Harper's Marksmanship Inc. And like I said, I do home defense plans. You know, I come in and I teach you how to defend your home, especially if you have like young kids in the house with you and they're in another bedroom and someone breaks into your house. You know, the first thing you want to do is gotta get to your kids, right? Or have your kids get to you, or you know, and also we cover like angles in your house. You know, if you're gonna be protecting yourself, protecting your house with a firearm. You know, you can't shoot certain ways because the kids, everyone might be here, might be there. Some stuff you don't think about that I actually enhance and actually walk you through with it with you and your family there to go through a home defense plan, what you need to do to in case an intruder comes in and stuff like that. I also teach women and weapons. You know, a lot of women first time shooters. You know, that they get I use my wife as an example. When I first came around, we got together. She didn't have no parts to do with no gun. No, nothing to do with no gun. Timid a little bit, but now she's carrying concealed.
Mhm.
So it's important. I mean, just the days and times. I hate to say it. It's we we have to protect ourselves.
It's necessary.
I teach. I taught several church security teams.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just to say that church security. It lets you know the country that we're living in, the world that
That's
we're
right.
living in. I teach concealed carry classes. Just about how
Mhm.
to become a better shooter. Period. Just defense. Period. How to defend yourself and your home and your family
Mhm.
and children and gun safeties. I believe that children need to know about guns.
They do.
Whether you have them in your house or not, because they're gonna go out to a friend's house. They're gonna go,
Mhm.
and tell them what their lifestyle is and have a gun
Yeah.
laying out. So, just talk to them about it. Don't totally keep them from it.
Yeah.
Don't totally keep them from it. because
I agree.
it. I started mine off young, and but they never were curious. They never was about a gun. You know, about I mean, I'm gonna tell this story. My nephew, when
Mm-hmm.
they first got together, I was out on Carmen's porch, and I was
Mm-hmm.
cleaning my gun, and her nephew was I, and he was younger. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, Carlos?" And
Mm-hmm.
everybody was in the house. The adults like, get back in here, boy. They didn't want him to, while I was out cleaning my gun, they didn't want him to. I thought it was kind of weird a little bit, So it happened again. This time I said, "No, come here, come out here, you know, come out here."
Yeah.
He wasn't allowed to have a toy gun, none of that stuff, I said, "Come out here." I said, "This is what I'm doing. I'm cleaning my gun."
Mm-hmm.
So I was telling him, I said, "Look, if you ever see one of these laying around, don't touch it. Don't ever touch it. Don't get away from it. Go tell an adult or whatever." So
Mm-hmm.
you at a friend's house and he wants to. I said, "Get away from it."
Yeah.
So, but now throughout the years, he's got his own 22 rifle. It's in a gun safe, but he knows it's
Mm-hmm.
his. He knows it's
Mm-hmm.
his. If
Mm-hmm.
I want to see a gun, if I want to touch a gun, I can go to my Uncle Carlos and I
That's
can get
right.
the gun out and we'll go shoot. Now he could care less. Because
Right.
he used to be all about the guns at first. Let me see your gun. Let me see your guns. Now he's like, man, that's how my kids were.
Mm-hmm.
I took that curiosity away from them,
Yeah.
and but also being safe at the same time.
Yeah. Being safe at the same
You know,
time.
and,
And it's all about education,
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You're afraid of something that you don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once you learn it, you're like, oh, that's what that is. So,
Yeah, yeah, because the guns definitely ain't going nowhere. So I mean, I mean, I hate to say it, but
yeah,
I've
they're
never
not.
had to. I never had to. I've been concealed carrying since 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and legally, legally concealed. Let me say that legally, and black men. This is to you too. A lot of black men run too. They conceal carrying all day long, but they ain't got no permit.
Yeah. You better
That's not
get
gonna
it.
help you. That's not gonna help
Mm-mm.
you in court.
You better get it.
I'm gonna tell you that
Exactly.
right now. Now go ahead and get legal, like everybody else getting legal. Get yourself and your family legal, because just in case you got to do it when you go in front of that man. Say, look,
That's
hey, I've
right.
been trained. I got my certificate. I got my card, and what they don't know is I know in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
um, 90% of people that's involved in a self defense shooting that has a concealed carry permit, they're not even getting questioned, not even getting charged, not even getting
Yeah.
took down to the station. That was a big thing for me. I thought, oh, I need
Yeah.
to get my permit.
That's right. That's right.
I
That's
need to
right.
get my permit. But yeah, it's just so it's like I said, it's all about education. You
Hmm. And I'm glad you're doing that because, like I said, there's so many of us that need to get legal, as you say, but then also not be afraid of it, not
know,
being afraid of a gun. Like my sisters are terrified of guns. I started shooting guns when I went to the Federal Bureau of Prisons when I used to work at the prison because that's part of our training. And
right?
I was afraid at first. I was like, oh my God. And then I started shooting that thing. I started feeling powerful. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's like the most powerful thing. But Carlos, thank you so much for coming on, talking with me, sharing your story, sharing just what you did with us because it's necessary. Like, I really hope you get people to reach out to you about your story. I also hope they will reach out to you about your business. And so, yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, but I don't want you to leave. I'll
Okay.
just take you down just for a second and then I'll end the live and I'll come back and talk to
All
you.
right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Again, it's been episode 14 of Men Cry in the Car podcast. And my throat made it through, even though it's been burning. But yes, thank you so much for being here. Please share the live. Please subscribe, like, and share. Set your notifications. It is only going to get better. It's only going to get this community. It's only going to grow. It was created for men to find their tribe, their community, their resources. But as I always say, men, I see you, I hear you, and I support you. See you later.